Greetings, my fellow nerds. I'm Chris, and welcome back to D's Nerds, and it's time to discuss the third episode of Superman and Lois. Alright, so honestly, I had a thought here as I was kind of trying to film this episode, trying to go through the plot and everything, and my thought occurred to me that, wait a minute, you've watched the episode, so why am I going to sit here and go through the plot for you? I'm just going to go through and give my thoughts on it, and I think that's going to be far more interesting than to watch me kind of clumsily go through and try to tell you what happened in the episode that you've already watched. Doesn't make any sense to me. So let's just jump right in with my thoughts on it. So first of all, this is Jonathan and Jordan's episode to shine. I love the brotherly dynamic between these two, and something that I was initially was probably the thing that interested me the least has now become something that I'm probably the most interested in. Superman and not necessarily Lois, I'll get to Lois here in a minute, but Superman and Clark has kind of taken a back seat in this episode, and it works really well. Jordan tries out for the football team. You think it's going to go a certain way. You think, of course, he or Jonathan, they don't tell Clark, but at the same time, you think, okay, so Superman's going to find out, and you're going to have this big discussion, like Superman's dad, Jonathan, had with him, like say in Superman the movie back in like 1978, about, not wanting to show off and things like that. And that's exactly what happens. But then it takes a turn because you think that Jonathan, Clark's son, is going to be upset and jealous that Jordan is excelling on the football field, especially coming out of nowhere, because it's like a complete out of left field kind of thing. But instead, he's actually really supportive because he sees that he's starting to make friends. He's starting to belong. He's not that awkward, kind of wallflower kind of person anymore because he's been doing this, and it's actually really good for him. And so he actually stands up to Clark and really voices his opinion that actually this might be really good for Jordan. And so it completely takes a left turn from what you think it's going to be, and think it's going to be about different things regarding like jealousy and wanting to be safe and all this stuff. And it becomes something far more wholesome and really awesome. And I just think that their dynamic, the brotherly dynamic in this, is so well done. And I'm just really excited to see what we have in store for Jonathan and Jordan going forward. As far as Lois's storyline goes, I really think that this is a really interesting dynamic that they're playing for her, and that she's essentially a fish out of water trying to like figure out her way in the new world for her. And really, they've just chosen to do that by giving her a big baddie to go after in Morgan Edge. This episode really furthers that along. The stakes are getting a lot higher for Lois, and I love that she just doesn't flinch. That's Lois Lane. She doesn't care about danger. She doesn't care about the trials and tribulations she's going to have to go through. It's about getting to the truth, and whatever's getting in the way of that, you're going to go through it. And, of course, she runs up against a superpowered being in doing that, and Superman calls Superman in to help take that out. But, and so that's all going to be interesting, and seeing, okay, these superpowered beings that are now showing up on Morgan Edge's side, where do they come from? The one at the end has heat vision and everything like that. So it's like, okay, are they Kryptonian? Are they clones? Is this something that like maybe showed up from something like Project Cadmus? Great questions, but definitely the stakes are getting higher, and that means Lois is getting to the truth. I said this before when we were talking about Jonathan and Jordan. Clark really does, I feel, kind of take a back seat. He's only Superman in this for like one specific instance, when Lois calls him to go save her from the superpowered being that attacks everybody at the motel where they're trying to meet up to discuss Morgan Edge. So that's really all that he is Superman in. So I'd say and then also at the beginning when he's helping the bridge collapse in China. Those are really the only two instances. The rest of it is Clark trying to figure out how to be a dad and how to best bring these two kids through teenage years. He screws up at one point. He's listening in on their conversations, and they don't particularly like that. I can completely understand. But the other side of it too is, not just taking the same road that his father took with him, but understanding that each situation is different, and what may have been good for Clark was not necessarily going to be the right thing for Jordan. And so his willingness to basically reverse what his father decided for him whenever he was younger and decide for Jordan, you know what, yeah, you should go play football, is actually a really brilliant piece of fathering on his part, and a very, very good amount of self-awareness on his part as well. So, and then also you get to see the dorky Clark as well make an appearance here at the end, when he gets to kind of be an assistant coach with the football team, and he's, you know, carrying the water jug and trying to act like he's not very strong, and, oh, I bought this hat to go along with this jacket. I mean, so it was a very, I think this was one of Tyler Hoechlin's better performances as Clark in this, and it was just very endearing. One of the more interesting plot lines throughout the episode was exploring the Cushing family a little bit more, figuring out that Sarah and Lana really don't get along very well. You know, they're, of course, her dad sleeps on the couch. You know, just things are not in real good shape, and it comes out in a very public way. And I feel like with Lana, you know, and what happened with Sarah is actually a very, I understand that as a parent, you want to protect your kids. And, you know, of course, with Sarah, she, you know, the previous year she committed suicide. So, you know, as a parent, I can see that, want to be like, are you sure you're fine? Are you sure you're fine? We didn't know you weren't fine. And are you fine now? And that can be really constricting to a kid. I can completely understand that. But in doing that, she didn't listen to her daughter. Okay, why did that happen? You know, what were you going through? You know, how can I be there for you? And, you know, it turns out that, you know, essentially Sarah just didn't want that life for Smallville and didn't want her life. And so I can understand where that can be really difficult, where you can kind of go all Varsity Blues and go, I don't want your life. But, you know, I think it ended at a good spot, you know, where they're starting to communicate better now. I still think the dad is a jerk. So we'll see how that all plays out. But, you know, I do think that Lana is trying to be a good parent. You know, but I think it's just, she's in a really tough situation right now, and it's hard on her. And sometimes when things are hard on us, it makes us not at our best to be able to do other things. So the other side of it too that I think is really interesting is, and I've kind of seen this coming with Lana, is making sure that everybody else thinks that everything is fine with your family. And I think if you've ever grown up in a small town, that hits home hard. I think even like with, you know, I had a great family. I love my parents and I had a great upbringing. I have no complaints. There is definitely that pressure though to make sure that your dirty laundry does not get out in public. Because unlike in more populated areas where, you know, there's a big possibility that, you know, someone you see at the store you'll never see again, you go down to the store in a small town and you know everybody there. So if you have one moment of weakness, it's getting out and it's going everywhere. So I completely understand, you know, that need to feel like you need to protect your family by keeping it all very insular and no dirty laundry's happening out in public. I mean, they're hanging out in their car while Sarah's in therapy because Lana doesn't want people to see that they're waiting there for her being in therapy. I understand that feeling of just that feeling of pure nakedness that it feels like in a small town where any little thing you do is not only remembered, but is talked about ad nauseum. That definitely hits home, and I completely understand, and that can really cause some problems, you know, some psychological problems probably. The only other thing I say on this episode is, of course, we didn't have any Captain Luthor, so we didn't really get any furthering of the storyline there. I'll be very interested to see where that goes. Obviously, they just gave it a break. They fleshed it out quite a bit in the first 2 episodes, and I'm sure they'll pick that up here. And now it's going to kind of be this whole Morgan Edge thing with these superpowered beings, Captain Luthor kind of moving forward, and I'm sure at some point those are going to cross-connect at some point. So we'll see. But I didn't have any problems with not having Captain Luthor in this one, so it's all good. All right, so I now turn to you. I would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. I mean, I thought it was just a really great episode, in spite of it not having that much Superman in it. So I would love to hear your comments as well. You know, if you like what we're doing here at D's Nerds, we're 2 nerds on one channel talking about the things we love and why we love them. So if you like that, just subscribe to the channel. We greatly appreciate it. Also, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So if you're missing us in between episodes, you can follow us there. We just greatly appreciate it. Also, we have merch. So if you want to support the channel, go down to our description and buy a t-shirt, buy a mug. You know, we just greatly appreciate it. Anything you do just greatly supports the channel. So guys, until next time, I am Chris, and this is D's Nerds. You guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye.